ready as we'll ever be.
Ever be.
Welcome to June, everybody.
Woo!
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Yes.
So, here we are.
We're exhausted from being proud.
So proud.
Day
One
2.
Day,
We're done.
One day of pride. You know what I was thinking this week, Heath, is the GIF you always send around this time of year where it's, move, I'm gay.
Yes, I saw that. It's from a longer video that I actually saw this morning. It's very funny.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that's your mantra for this month.
I wonder if I can get that on a personalized license plate.
Oh.
Is that too? I had to figure out MV.
Yeah, MV.
IMGAY.
Move there
I'm
you
gay.
go.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it a lot, actually.
Well, this week we're talking about 1991.
That's crazy.
Well, it's not because that's what we do, Erin.
I know,
we talk
but
about
it just feels
we talk about
like
past years.
So, in a way, it feels so not long ago, and then in other ways, like that was so long ago.
Well, here's perspective. People born in 1991 are now 33.
Okay.
So I don't know why I needed to do that to really drive it home to us, but that's what came into my brain.
Yeah.
You made me gasp.
I needed you to clutch your pearls. Before we talk about 1991, should we talk about unmitigated gall?
I think so. We got
Excellent.
choices here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would like to kick off some gall? Give me some gall.
I can.
Do it.
My unmitigated gall this week is people who don't answer correctly unless you ask the exact right question.
Wow.
Which I call tricksters. Because why do I have to ask this question in the exact right way for you to get the answer that clearly anyone else would have given?
Interesting.
So here's my example.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm going to own a couple things up front.
All right.
One is that I am not and will not call myself a helicopter parent, but I will admit that all 4 of my boys take advantage of having me as sort of like an Ask Jeeves assistant type position. Mm-hmm. So one of my children, who shall not be named, but is one of the older 2, asked for some help getting his prescription refilled. Okay. That's fine. Sometimes he gets busy during the day, whatever. And we get them in our smaller town that we live in. You kind of have to be on the ball with them because it takes a little longer. They don't have as much staff, all that. It's great. So I call. I need to get this prescription refilled. We'll process it. Great. Moving on. Usually then I get a text when it's ready, either that later that day or the next day. So by day 2, this happened on Monday. On Wednesday, I still hadn't got a text message. So I called again, and they're like, oh, yeah, we had to get your doctor to sign off on a refill. And I was like, okay. I happen to know that our family doctor doesn't work on Wednesdays, so I was like, oh, it's going to be Thursday at this point. So I called again on Friday because I still hadn't gotten anything. And they're like, yeah, we haven't heard back from the doctor. So I request a prescription refill from his doctor, like through his portal thing.
Yeah.
Still don't get a text that it's in. And they responded and said, you can get a refill or whatever. So finally, I'm
the
like,
doctor said, yeah, we.
I got a message. Zach got a message back. Whoops.
Yep.
That
We all knew.
Yeah, exactly. You all knew. It's ready or yeah, that's fine. We sent it. So I'm like, I'm just going to show up there and then, they can just fill it on the spot. I'm done calling. Like, this is embarrassing.
What day is this by now?
It's like the next week. Like we're into
Jesus.
Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. So I go in there and I'm standing there and finally, this person who is working, who's clearly in high school, who's just like working behind the counter at this lovely Medicap, turns and is like, you can't pick those up. And I said, what? And she's like, it's too early. There was a 90-day supply before. And I was like, huh. So I have 2 things I'm upset about at this point. Number 1, I immediately call Zach because I think this is a mistake. I'm like, I don't think he wouldn't. I call him and I said, do you still have a bunch of pills in the bottle? And he's like, yeah, it was a bigger bottle than normal last time. And I was like, okay. And then so I'm sitting in my car at this point. And then I realized, at what point were any of you going to say that to me? Like I've asked for a refill prescription now. I've gone through all this rigmarole for a week and no one said, hey, he got a 90-day supply last time. It's not up yet. That would have been in the first phone call. my mistake, I guess, is that I didn't specifically say, is a refill available? I said, I need one. And they were like, okay. And then they were just dodging the question. So now I look like some kind of like pill collector that I'm like, give me the pills.
You
and
are
I'm emailing the
Julianne Moore in
doctor.
Magnolia, just losing your shit because you need your pills.
And luckily, I had an appointment with our family doctor, so I was like, look, if I'm flagged in the system, this is what happens. Like, I'm not a pill seeker. I really thought that he needed this, and I'm very frustrated. And she's like, no, it's fine. Like, they'll just hold the refill. But I was like, yeah, no one told me. So I just kept asking, like some kind of crazy person. And then it took a teenager to look me in the face and be like, you can't get that, ma'am. So
Leave it to the youths.
I guess you have to ask the exact right question to get the information you want. Lots of lessons learned in that little couple week interaction. So on
that
all
seems
sides,
like a lot of time that could have been spent doing other things that you enjoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting.
And again, when you said, hey, can you help me get this? I guess I needed to ask the right question of, is there still 1 million pills in your bottle?
Do you need it right this moment?
Yeah, I didn't know that we were like waiting for, 3 months before we refilled it. So thank you, everyone involved.
To quote Heath from an earlier episode, this feels like collusion
Yes!
at the highest level.
It does. But then, like, how do you complain about that? Because my child's old enough to do this on his own. So then it's also like there's a double layer of embarrassment where I look like a helicopter parent. That's like, I take care of his medication. Like a misery situation.
You're on a list of like Munchausen by proxy at this point.
My picture's behind there. Like, don't give her stuff that's not hers.
Yeah. This one's doping her kid.
Just keeping him doped up.
Doping him.
Oh, so tricksters.
Wow, tricksters. All of them. What about you, Heath?
My unmitigated gall. I ordered some glasses a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Online, right?
Some Warby Parker glasses, perhaps?
From glasses.com.
Glasses.com. Excellent. I didn't know this existed, but that sounds...
Check out our new sponsorship with glasses.com.
Well,
no,
never mind. Take that back.
Okay.
so I ordered these glasses, and and they sent them to me, and they got here in a timely fashion. And then I opened the package, and it turns out they didn't send me the right ones. They sent me the wrong color. No. Right? They sent me blue glasses, and I was a little bit like, "You fuckers should know I'm not going to wear blue glasses."
You should know me.
Heath, I can't handle you showing up on a bike with blue glasses. So I'm glad you took care of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm surprised that wasn't your goal, that Heath showed up yet again on a bike today.
It was going to be, but then I really wanted to say was the unmitigated goal is that it wasn't rollerblades, because I did specifically threaten that.
That's true. Yeah,
there was an outside chance.
This house is on a hill. If I would have showed up on rollerblades, you would have seen me just go right on by. You would have never seen me again.
I had to chase you down. Grab him! Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Wrong color.
So yeah, I got my glasses show up. They're the wrong color. So, you have to submit a form online that let them know what's wrong.
No, I hate forms.
So then, so I just sent him the form, and I'm like, you sent me the right style, but the wrong color. Can you send me the right ones? So then they respond. It took them a day or so to respond, and they wanted me to send them pictures of the wrong ones to make sure that they sent the wrong ones. So, okay. So I sent them some pictures, and they're like, yep, those are the wrong ones. We'll send you the right ones. But first you got to verify your prescription. Okay. I mean, I'm the one that told you what that prescription was, so you sending it back to me and making me say that it's right, like, this seems like an unnecessary step.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Fine. Okay, I verified it. It's right.
Okay.
Another day or so goes by, and they're like, can you verify your address? And it's like, listen, Cheryl.
This is definitely a Cheryl situation.
You sent them to the right place the first time, so verify that yourself, but whatever. Yes, it's right. That's the right address. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to send them to you. And the thing is, I paid the extra $10 to like get expedited shipping the first time.
No.
And now they're not doing that. Now they're just sending it regular. And I'm like, but you made a mistake, and I already paid for expedited shipping.
They should be overnighting
right.
those.
Yes. Yeah. So you know what, glasses.com, get your shit together, you and Cheryl.
So did you end up getting the glasses?
They're not here yet.
Oh my God.
No.
So we don't even know if they're the right pair this time.
Also, isn't ostensibly the whole purpose of a glasses website to take out the pain points of going
Right.
to a glasses store, which
Yeah.
you have now ruined multiple times?
Because of all these interactions.
Yeah.
You've made it so much worse.
But the other funny thing about it is, to me, is they don't want the wrong ones back. Like, they don't want the ones they sent me, so I just get this pair of blue glasses now that I guess I can wear to a costume party for dipshits. I don't know. Like, what am I going to do with them?
Can we please throw a costume party for dipshits?
I would love that.
Like a Fuzzy Memories
Yes.
sponsored
Yes.
costume party for dipshits.
oh my God.
You get invited to a costume party from us, you guys. You know, read the subtext. We
Yeah.
think you're a dipshit.
And also know Heath will be wearing his blue glasses.
Yeah.
We might need a picture to use on social this week of
Yeah.
the blue glasses
Yeah.
because that's some heavy duty. I'm infuriated for you.
Yeah. Sort of, I mean, this is not unmitigated gall, but also when I went to the eye doctor, when I was waiting in the waiting room, they have, you know, all the different frames, you know, that you can choose
Yes.
from and stuff. And I don't like doing that because, you know, they're trying to push shit on you. And it's
Try to push so hard. I hate it.
Yeah. But they had little plaques around that had, you know, different brand names that they carry. You know, there's like Ray-Ban and Oakley and whatever, fine. But they had one for Juicy Couture. I was like, am I in a time warp? Like, who's buying Juicy Couture glasses frames?
And that goes on your butt, not on your face. The juicy couture.
Took me a minute. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
I should have picked the sign up and taken it to the receptionist and said that. This goes on your butt. And then just walked out.
That'd have been great.
Unless it's the kind that, like, you go outside and it changes the tint, but also it says juicy across
Oh,
the
yeah,
front.
Oh, yeah. Like it's highlighted. You
Yep.
can see the juicy in there. I like that.
That could
Okay.
be at the party for dipshits, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
my unmitigated gall is Mother Nature and Winona Ryder.
Oh,
So
not those two again.
yeah, I know, right? You
Team
got me
up.
again, Winona Ryder. So as I've talked about before, there's some cats that live outside, and they are feral-ish. And earlier this spring, one of the cats who I thought was a boy was very friendly, started coming up. Then I realized, oh, these are pronounced nipples on his chest. So, and there's no balls. So, oh, okay, you're a girl. So I named her Winona Ryder. And Winona Ryder was a victim of a coup started by Molly Ringwald.
Are we still talking about cats?
So for a long time, she was living under this hidey hole under my back stairs. And
Is that a euphemism?
yes, and a real thing. Both. I was petting her. She was just so skinny. Like her hip bones were so prominent. She was in trouble, so I brought her in. I put her in this separate room for a while. 2 days later, I go in for my morning check-in to say hi. And Winona Ryder proceeds to deliver 4 very premature stillborn babies. But she's just dropping these babies in front of me. At first, there was a little bit of blood, and I was like, oh, shit. And I looked up the emergency vet online, and in that time, out pops a baby. And I was like, oh, fuck. Well, here we are. Let's do this. Let's fucking do this.
I would have packed all my shit and moved. I would not have been able to deal with that. I'd be like, I gotta start a new life in another state.
I was almost going to make you my unmitigated gall because I was like, the fact that she's like doing vet services on a Saturday while I'm like lounging is it's kind of the Heath Bike thing where I'm like, okay, I see you. You're
Yeah.
a good helper to the world.
Not
Listen,
a competition, Joyce.
This was not intended. I did not intend to be a hero. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, most heroes just fall into
It just
yeah.
happens, yeah. So anyway, we got through the day. She's doing great. She's much better. But the gall is this. This little girl, I took her to the vet this week. She's only 5 pounds. This was after, she delivered the babies. She is maybe 9 months old. How in the fuck is Mother Nature going to say, yes, this is the right kind of girl. She's ready to give birth. And it got me thinking about how human girls can sometimes get their periods at like 10, 11.
Yeah.
They could conceivably have babies. That is horrific. And after I just watched those things come out of that cat's vag, I was like, fuck this. Mother Nature is bullshit. So that's my goal, is Mother Nature.
I think my take on watching that, if I had seen that, my take would have been like,
that was part of it. Yeah. I just kept telling her, like, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. It's going to be all right. As she's pushing things out of her kitty badge.
Was she meowing in a way that made you feel like she was criticizing the person that got her pregnant? You know, like they do in the TVs and movies when a lady's giving birth and she yells at her husband.
When she was walking around a little bit, because it was like, you know, at least like a half hour between each one. And she's walking around and she's looking at me like, wow. And I'm like, I get it, girl. I get it.
I'm with you.
I am with you. This is bullshit. It's probably one of your fucking brothers that did this to you. This is disgusting.
So this was like a 2-hour thing? This wasn't, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. But hey, she's doing great now. She is spry. She's playing. She's like, oh shit, I don't have to take care of babies.
She signed up for classes at the community college?
She's going to start therapy soon. She's going to be great. And she wants to be Ziggy's friend so bad. So, you know, we're doing some slow integration, but she's doing great. Except Mother Nature can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Well, Reba McEntire thinks she's a survivor. So
That was amazing.
Shall we return to 1991?
We shall.
I started high school this year, and this was the year that Nirvana and Pearl Jam came out. So my fate was set.
You were set.
It was ready to go. Yeah, you were in high school by this time. Okay, and you were in middle school.
I
Maybe?
was 10.
You were okay. Yep.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But there's some prime memories from.
Excellent. Well, let's hear one.
Okay.
Go for it.
I'm going to start with one that had a big fat impact on me. Still does to this day, and that's the TV show Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh, yeah.
It premiered this year. Now, Carmen Sandiego originally appeared in video games in like 1985. And then they realized that most people couldn't figure out where certain countries were on a map. And they were like, maybe we should do something about this. And they decided to start the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. But they did it as like kind of a game show format. So basically, one of Carmen Sandiego's many henchmen has stolen a rare cultural object. That could be the Eiffel Tower. It knows no bounds. Their thievery is top notch.
How does one steal the Eiffel Tower?
I don't know. They've stolen a lot of weird things from Carmen Sandiego.
I was at a graduation reception yesterday, and there was a picture of the graduate in front of the Eiffel Tower, and Michael was like, is she in Paris or Las Vegas?
Oh, shit. That's a good follow-up question.
Which is a fair question, but then, I mean, our deduction was just that I don't think that a 17-year-old went to Las Vegas. Like, I don't think she was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully not, yeah. So anyway,
Anyway,
back to
Sandiego.
Basically it was a game show, and they brought on 3 contestants, and then the gumshoe, as they call him, who actually captures Carmen Sandiego by locating where it's at, then goes to like a bonus round where they locate countries like on a map of a certain continent. So the host, the chief, and a variety of other guests help by supplying clues. There's this great group called Rockapella that sings at the beginning, sometimes during the middle, sometimes at the end. And I can't really say how much this show meant to me other than I loved it. I watched it all the time. And this spun off into books of hers that it was kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure, but there were cards that you ripped out, like that were the suspects and the item that was stolen in the countries. And you had to follow along like Clue and make like a little chart and figure. It was right up my alley. I loved those books so much. Read them all. I found them old ones that were like never used that still have the cards like on thrift books. And Mason and I have been doing them and he's obsessed. So it's great. I did also find a review of this that
fantastic.
It just really encapsulates, because I felt like I really had was matching this person's energy. This game show was one of the greatest of all time. It certainly blows Who Wants to Be a Millionaire out of the water.
Shots fired.
Out of the water. It had a great host, great questions, and it actually had some sort of plot.
I don't know. I'm not watching Wheel of Fortune for the plot.
I'm not either. Anyway, that's the kind of like joy I feel like it spawned, because what a great show.
I don't really remember the show. Did you watch it?
I remember it was on
Yeah.
PBS, I think. So
It was.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
more. It was less about selling cereal and more about actually teaching kids where countries were.
Yeah, it was so great. I loved it so much.
Yeah, Rockapella was they were great.
Highlight, yeah. So
I can see little Aaron just
eating it up.
eating it all up.
Eating it up. And I tore those books apart. I mean, oof, it was great.
And I do correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they rarely caught Carmen Sandiego. It was
Very
very
rare.
rare.
Very rare. Very rare.
So is she like the greatest of all time?
Maybe.
I mean, it's hard to argue. Yeah.
She didn't lose 34. She didn't get convicted of 34
Guilty.
felony counts.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty. Amazing.
You know, speaking of that, your husband said something that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. We were talking about how, you know, it's a nice moment that he's guilty and everything. We know it's probably not going to mean much, unfortunately. But Michael was like, I love the idea that this fucking guy has to report to a parole officer. To
You know
a
what I
probation officer.
immediately thought of though?
Yeah.
Is that I bet that whole probation office that would be the one attached to that court is like not it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved in this at all. Because probation officers are like notoriously underpaid and don't really want to. I mean, you can imagine the shit that they deal with, but like to have that be assigned to him, I'd
Yes.
be like, I'm good. Like,
But I
early
love
retirement?
like the little bit of humiliation of him having to do that and knowing that if he like mouths off and he does anything, I mean, technically he could, you know, get in trouble again, which is
I also love because everyone was like during the trial about the gag order, like they
Yeah.
were like, oh, he just keeps violating, it doesn't mean anything to him, and now they're like, yeah, but the judge can use that in sentencing now. Like he just never even connected those dots.
Yeah.
That he can take that into consideration, and also for his other trials, they can take into consideration that he's already a convicted felon. So
it's just sort of delicious in that way.
it is.
you know?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Somebody had this on at work, and so there were a handful of people around this person's computer watching, you know, them just announce them like one after one, and they kept saying guilty. And we were like, I was like, I feel bad for the person who's got their finger over the not guilty button to show that graphic when someone finally says not guilty. Like this is like Todd's job for the whole day, and he didn't get to do it.
He
So.
didn't get to
damn
do
it.
at all.
Yeah.
I was watching it too because, and they were like, the way that the people outside the courthouse were reporting it on the various news channels,
Guilty.
guilty, 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 guilty. I'm like, this is getting weird.
Maybe it's just nice to hear it and to say
It is nice
Yeah.
to hear and say.
rolls
yeah.
off the tongue.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah.
But at least our terrible, terrible, terrible governor went on TV and just said it was all a hoax.
Oh, that's nice
Senator
and very fitting.
Joni Ernst made a
Oh,
comment yesterday
good,
too
good.
that she's very scared
Oh,
for the fate of our nation
Oh,
because
no.
this was clearly because, and I quote, the jury instructions were mind-boggling. I couldn't understand them. So it doesn't have to be unanimous.
Listen, I don't think Joni Ernst understands the plot of Saved by the Bell.
Exactly.
So I get why she wouldn't understand that.
I'm not interested in
any of it. Yeah. All right, what do you got, Heath? From 1991.
I have something from 1991 that was equally pure.
Oh.
As Carmen Sandiego. It's called The Maury Povich Show.
I loved him too.
Yep.
Equal opportunity.
Oh, Maury.
The Maury Povich Show premiered on September 9th in 1991 and ran for 31 seasons.
What?
Yeah.
31?
They produced 5,545 episodes. First 18 seasons of the show were produced in New York City and filmed in the same studio complex as the People's Court, which I thought was very interesting.
That tracks.
Which seems like a random fact, but then in 2009, it moved to Stamford, Connecticut, where it filmed in the same studio as the Sally Jesse Raphael show, which I feel like is a good bookend of randomness for Maury. The Maury Povich Show is the longest-running daytime talk show with a single host in the history of America. And if that doesn't earn Maury the right to have his photo on our currency, I don't know what.
On our currency.
What dollar bill should he be on?
Probably,
Or coins?
I think maybe like a silver dollar.
Okay.
Who's on that now? Like JFK?
Yeah. We can remove him.
Yeah, you've had your minute.
He had a minute.
We get it. We get it.
Get it.
We get it.
Also in 1991, the year Maury premiered Jenny Jones Show, The Jerry Springer Show, and The Montel Williams Show. all premiered the same
So we were
year.
on a theme that year.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
Yep.
Sally, Jesse, Raphael. Yeah.
That's
They were
a-
all sort of similar, right? Like, I mean, Maury obviously specialized in paternity tests, but the others also had like very random,
Salacious,
trashy. Yeah.
It was like they took the Oprah kind of template and were like, but let's do salacious stuff.
Yes.
Let's
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wasn't allowed to watch it, but I found a radio station that played it at the same time. Like it was just the audio of it. So I always used to listen to it in my room while I was doing things. Like, I mean, I think it loses a little something when you don't get to see their reactions and how upset they are, but it was still like,
Look at you working around the system,
yeah,
defying the rules.
yeah, rare moment.
So before he started hosting his talk show, Maury worked in radio as a reporter and then later as the host of A Current Affair, which, you know, it had some hard news stories, but often covered celebrity gossip stories and scandals and just was sort of tabloidy. Some of the topics that were explored by Maury and his guests include teen pregnancy, strange illnesses, makeovers, sperm theft,
What?
obese children, little people, murder, and unusual phobias. However, as Amy pointed out, you know, Maury's bread and butter was two topics: unfaithful partners and paternity tests. That's what everyone loved Maury for. The internet claims that the reason Maury liked paternity tests so much was because he loved it when the men would own up to their responsibilities as fathers, reunite with the mothers of their children, and get involved with the children's lives.
After they had just spewed all this shit about she's a bitch, she's lying.
Yeah.
I've watched plenty of episodes of Maury and can think of a grand total of 0 times
Yeah.
with someone finding out that they had fathered a child on the show motivated them to get their shit together. Like that's not the way it went.
not how
Maury.
it-
No,
Yes.
no.
More often than you'd think, a white man would come on the show with his white girlfriend, fiance, wife, requesting a paternity test for the not white child she told him he had fathered. I saw those episodes more than once. And then,
So again, real smarties.
science is weird.
It is.
There were a few guests who would come back to Maury for additional paternity tests when partners they had previously brought on and turned out not to be the father. There's one woman, she appeared on the show 15 times and had 19 DNA tests conducted to find out the father of her child, and not a single one, not even her husband, ended up being a match.
What?
And like, I don't know.
Wait, those were all for the same kid?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So at some point, she
honey.
she figured out, like, if I keep bringing the wrong people, I got to keep going on the Maury Povich
Yeah,
show. Like, she just,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there's no
Yeah,
way.
No.
right.
Like, either she was not bright or something, because she
Yeah.
didn't have sex with, you know, more than 15 men. It wasn't like the 16th guy she had sex with in that window of when she could have conceived that baby. It's, you know.
Unless science is weird and we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Maury can say that he did the paternity test because he loved the nuclear family unit all day long, but I'm not sure that's what was going on here. Yeah.
No, that feels like the exact opposite. It made me think of that. SNL did a sketch recently.
I was just thinking of that with Dakota Johnson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's like a fun family video, and they watch it, and it's her parents on Maury Povich, like finding out her dad was actually the dad, and he's
She's
like,
a
pissed
lying
at-
bitch. And then it pans back and they're like, oh, we love each other.
Yeah, it's great. Like, you didn't think you were my dad? No.
But probably, besides the paternity test stuff, my favorite thing that happened on Maury was when a woman named Alicia brought her boyfriend Paul on the show because she thought Paul was cheating on her with her friend Dominique because Dominique made Paul chicken tetrazzini. If chicken tetrazzini isn't enough to get the Warren Commission involved, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Get him on the phone.
Yeah.
We need to
Also,
get to the
what
root
a
of this.
terrible dish. Are you sure he was cheating, or was she trying to poison him? Because chicken tetrazzini's not great.
Well, Alicia thought
Probably
her
hamburger helper.
She thought her chicken tetrazzini was better than Dominique's.
Oh, no.
So I almost
The
feel,
betrayal.
on some level, like she felt like her chicken tetrazzini was being cheated on.
Oh
Like, not
Oh,
her.
right. We
Right?
would be great Maury Povich audience members.
Yeah, we would.
Very animated.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're invested.
They'd be turning the camera to us all the time.
What?
I mean, the episode was such a big hit, mostly for the way Alicia pronounced chicken tetrazzini, which I will not attempt here.
Okay.
That both her and Dominique were invited back and they each serve their chicken tetrazzini to the whole Maury audience.
What?
Which is kind of like a family sitting down for a meal together, a very nuclear family type activity that Maury probably claimed to love.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny because, I remember while Maury was doing this, like, his wife, Connie Chung, was still a very serious news person.
God, that's who he was married to.
Yes. Yeah, she was breaking all
gosh.
sorts of like records as being the first like Asian American. Yeah.
So the idea that she's like interviewing heads of state and doing like investigative journalism while he's over here, but like, you are not the father.
Oh my God.
like what do they talk about at home?
Power couple.
I remember thinking that. Like, what do they talk about at night? Like, well, how does this work?
Well, for my first pick, I bring to you one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh, boy.
Which is Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Okay. Wait. I just didn't expect that to be the best movie. I really have to recalibrate for a minute. Okay, I got it.
You got it?
All right,
You got it? Okay.
I'm in. Okay.
I mean, this movie has everything. It's got apocalypse, it's got freedom fighters, it's got cyborgs, time travel, nuclear war, crazy buff Linda Hamilton as a badass in a mental hospital. I mean, what is not to like? The answer is nothing.
Yeah.
Everything is to love. So, in case you have you seen the first Terminator? That's what I figured. So, the first Terminator.
I love that you just assume now. No, I haven't.
Did you hear the Terminator played on a radio by chance?
Yes, I did find that channel. Yes. It's I'll Be Back, right? That's
Yes.
the Terminator one?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
In the first Terminator, there's been a nuclear war in the future. The leader sends back someone through time to try and protect his mother because the enemies are robots. And the robots are going back in time to try to kill John Connor's mother so he's never born, so he never leads the resistance. The robot is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
And
That
he
tracks.
is a Terminator that will stop at nothing. So the guy that's sent back, Kyle Reese, great. But then he falls in love with John Connor's mom. And guess what? He's John Connor's dad. And he dies from the Terminator. But Sarah Connor does not. And in Terminator 2, we flash forward a few years. We've got like a 10-year-old John Connor who's a little bit of a brat. And his mom, Sarah Connor, is in a mental institution because she won't stop telling people that the world is coming to an end and that the robots are coming to kill us. And everyone's like, Jesus Christ, this fucking hysterical woman won't shut up. Turns out she's right.
You're such a bummer, Sarah
Such
Connor.
a bummer, Sarah Connor.
Let's just put her in a mental institution.
You're hysterical.
Exactly. But the future decides we're going to send someone back to protect young John Connor. And guess what? They send back the original robot reprogrammed to be a protector.
Reboot?
Rebooted. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is back to protect young John Connor.
Okay.
And the new enemy is the T-1000, who is a liquid metal Terminator who can get under doors and in between things.
No.
And, God.
No.
So they break Sarah Connor out of the hospital.
Okay.
And then they go on the run and they try to prevent the nuclear war from happening. That's all you need to know. It is cinematic greatness.
Okay.
It's probably James Cameron's... I would say between that and Titanic, those are his probably two best movies.
And in all honesty, in 1991, the visual effects that were used in this movie were fucking mind-boggling. It was just beyond anything you'd seen. It still holds up really well, I feel like, when you watch it.
Yep.
James Cameron was attached to Linda Hamilton at the time. I think she rightly got free of him later.
Listen, to be a good movie director doesn't mean you have to be a good person.
Exactly. As much of time has shown us is true. Yeah.
That's very true.
So I loved this movie so much, which explains a lot about me, I think. I mean, it really tracks with everything we know about me. I loved that idea of time travel. I loved the story sort of circling back on each other. I loved all the catchphrases. Loved it. Terminator 2. Judgment Day.
I love how much you love it. Immediately,
There was a gun.
oh shit! All right.
And one more thing.
And one more thing.
There was a Guns N' Roses song, "You Could Be Mine," attached to this movie that played a lot during the movie. Also, then the video, Guns N' Roses had Arnold Schwarzenegger in the video. It was cross promotion. It was amazing.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think I'm done now.
Okay. No, that was good. Okay. I think.
And scene.
And scene. My first reaction a little bit is like about the premise is I think we've discovered or known for a while that any kind of time travel to kill someone or prevent something always ends in an opposite reaction.
It's very true, but the first one was set in 1984. We didn't know that yet.
Yeah, we didn't know yet that you were, yeah.
Back to the Future hadn't even come out yet.
Oh, yeah.
Our time travel lore was limited.
Very, yes.
We were just figuring it out.
Just figuring it all out. Because, yeah, when you think too hard on it, none of it makes sense. But that's the beauty and joy of it. Did you like Terminator 2?
I did. I thought it was a good movie. I remember it had been out for a while when I went and saw it with one of my friends, and my main memory of it is my friend Josh, who I had seen it with, insisted that we leave an empty movie seat between us. He didn't want people to think we're on a date.
Oh, my God.
And so that was referred to as the gay seat moving forward. It was just a him thing. It was always just a him thing. It was whenever, it doesn't matter who it was, me or whoever it was, he always had to leave an empty seat between him and the
So he
person.
didn't look gay.
Right.
Has he come out now?
That's
no,
what
he-
Okay. Because I was
he
going to
also
say
a
that.
homosexual.
Yeah.
He's not, but it was one of those things that's like, listen, no one's coming in here and just being like, no one cares. Right, yeah.
Especially Terminator 2.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's
That's some deep-seated
That's some
stuff in there.
deep-seated stuff.
What's funny is he's the person that I saw the Bridges of Madison County in the theater with, and we couldn't have a gay seat because there was too many people in the theater.
No. Was he just, like, tight the whole time, trying not to touch you, trying not to be too close?
I think he just mumbled, he's just like, titties the whole time, just so people would get it.
And that's what he's still doing today. He is gritting away the gay in his,
That's too bad.
Meanwhile, you, a budding gay, was just like, what?
Yeah, when Arnold Schwarzenegger showed up naked, I was just like, all right, no clothes in the
Right.
future. Let's do it, Arnie.
Let's do it. He did cut a good figure in this movie. Yeah. Mhm.
Cut a good figure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'll have to
Top
catch
that. Top Terminator 2, Aaron.
Oh, I will.
Oh, shit.
With a little treat that I ate my heart out in 1991
Okay.
called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Pies.
Oh, wow. This is a
Feast your
lovely.
eyes.
Oh, God.
This is a flashback because we talked about this on Broads and Books years ago.
Yes, we did.
And I believe you provided this picture, and this looks
Bad. It
positively
looks bad.
disgusting.
I will post on socials, but it's literally like Ninja Turtle green pie, and then there's what they call vanilla pudding. I don't want to add the G because there's not really a G. So
They
back
probably,
in
I
the-
mean, the FDA was probably like, well, you can't call it pudding. It's not pudding.
Right, probably,
I
you're
just spell it wrong.
absolutely right. So back in the 1980s, Hostess sold a line of pudding pies. It had the G on it before. And they were mainly like, and fruit pies that included flavors like apple and cherry, you know, the traditional. Well, then they got smart and they decided, because they went away for a while, they were going to come back, but with the best cross promotion they've ever had for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. They were going to call them Turtle Pies. And when they released them, they're a vibrant green colored deep fried crust that has icing over it. And in the middle, again, is vanilla pudding.
Whoa.
The outer packaging featured 4 designs, one for each of the turtles. And the pies were discontinued the same year that they were released, since they were only
they had
meant
lead
to
in
be,
it?
Probably.
They were made of-
only ever meant to be a limited
This was
release.
actual paint instead of icing.
I'm thinking that they knew, like, hey, we can only do this for approximately 8
Right.
months, and then
Before they
people
catch
will
on.
get
Yeah,
sick.
before the
So-
side effects show up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That vanilla pudding power is going to come back to bite them.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. But I discovered in my research, because I remember, I have such a visceral memory of these, Jesus, that I mean, it's getting me too excited to even
It's so
talk about
excited.
it. That I remember eating these, and when I look at it now, I don't know how.
Yeah.
But I was obsessed, and I was so sad when they went away. And I don't, we didn't really have like the evolution of the internet that we have now, all of that. So there was really, I didn't understand. There was no way to understand why they weren't in
Oh
stores
my God, it
anymore.
was taken away from you, and it was like,
Yes, and I loved
sad.
it so much. And I found out that I'm not the only one.
oh.
Because someone created an Instagram account dedicated to the pies in 2017. Shares the history, shows off plenty of merchandise and promotional materials. There's also an activechange.org petition that currently has over 2,000 signatures to bring them back.
Change.org? Isn't that supposed to be like government stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some artists.
The government should be involved.
You're right. You're right.
You're right. That's the only way we're going to get this done, Amy, at the highest level.
Get Joni Ernst on it.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Shit. I wouldn't even take
Marjorie
a turtle
Taylor
pie.
Greene.
Oh, no. If they're involved, I can't eat the pies. God damn it. We ought to be very careful about who we get attached to this project. Can I get Cory Booker?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Artists have made different renditions of it. It's even appeared in an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
But in addition to this wonderful pie that you got, there was also like stickers or commemorative cards inside. So people really wanted to collect them. And you could collect points that were called puddin' points.
Oh my god.
And you could send them in for various things.
Okay.
So you have to collect them. But sadly,
Like,
they were
like Marlboro Miles.
1,000%. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think I ever collected any or sent them in, so I don't know what the return on that really was, but I can tell you that I ate a lot of these in that whatever.
Do you think they're still in your digestive system?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's.
Do you think that
probably
explains like some of your stomach issues?
1,000%. It's coated with green dye that has never left.
Is this why you can't feel your feet?
Oh my god. You have dead feet
Because of Teenage Mutant Ninja
from the
Turtle
pudding
pies.
power.
Probably do. Can you imagine what I ingested?
I think we got a lawsuit on your hands.
I
is
think
what
we do.
think.
Oh, you're right.
Like, listen, I have a Morton's neuroma, otherwise known as dead foot.
Otherwise known as Teenage Mutant Ninja
From the
Pie.
pudding.
Pie foot.
From that.
I need to park closer to the building. I got pie foot.
Did you ever have the TMNT pies? That's what I got. TMT foot. Yeah, I was a fan. And what's ironic about it is that wasn't a big Ninja Turtle fan.
You're just a fan of fine cuisine.
Yes.
I just love the shit out of those pies. No good reason.
Do you think if we were able to start a campaign to bring these back, that would make fuzzy memories just worthwhile? Like it would just justify our existence?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Should we start selling a fuzzy memories pudding pie?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
we
mean,
know my
we-
pie making skills are top notch.
We've probably got the ingredients.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Tide Pods? Those got to be in there somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how you get that really gloss.
I have a whole bunch of old paint
Crisco?
downstairs we can
Perfect,
use. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we could bring like Haley in on this. Maybe even
Yes.
Travis. He seems to be.
Oh,
a
yeah.
good
He's good at
chef.
making
Yeah, baking.
Yeah,
and
Travis could be the baker.
Perfect.
see what we can figure out. So anyway, sad walk down memory lane
Oh,
for me,
man. Well, can you top pudding power?
I can try. I can try. Apparently, 91 was a good year for movies. We had Terminator 2. We had
The best
Teenage Mutant
movie.
Ninja Turtles 2.
Yeah.
And we had Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh my god, I loved
gosh,
this
that's
movie
so
so
good.
much.
It came out in June of that year, and it
This
starred...
is where I learned about income tax.
Uh-huh.
definitely the takeaway.
Who's FICA? It starred Christina Applegate, who at the time was, everyone knew her from Married with Children. She was Kelly Bundy on that show. She played Sue Ellen, which it kept making me think of the show Dallas. And I don't know, Dallas hadn't been off the air very long at this time. Just call her something else.
Didn't
I
they
don't
call
know.
her Swell too?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was her nickname. She was 17 and had just graduated from high school, and she planned to spend the summer in Europe with her friends, but she was broke, so she had to stay home. Luckily for her mom decided to go on a summer-long vacation with her boyfriend, so Sue Ellen figures she can relax all summer long, but then finds out that their mother hired an old lady to babysit her and her 4 siblings while she is away. The old lady's name is Mrs. Sturek, and she turns out to be a huge asshole, and the kids all hate her.
I mean, with that name, that's
Yeah.
you're guaranteed.
Tough.
Yep. Lucky for them, Mrs. Sturek dies in her sleep.
So terrifying.
Mrs. Sturek was probably the same age we are.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She probably is.
After rejoicing in the demise of an old bitch that they barely knew, they got worried because they thought the authorities, which I'm saying using air quotes, would get involved. I mean, I think they'd probably call their mom and have their mom come home.
It sounded like mom was a major flake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that they would have sent them all to different orphanages.
But that felt like the implication. Yeah.
So they do the next best thing. They dropped off the old lady anonymously at a funeral home with a note saying that she died of natural causes. However, they realized after they dropped her off that all the spending money their mom had left them for the summer was with the dead body. So to make ends meet for the summer, Sue Ellen gets a job at a fast food place but quits because her boss is a shithead. So she decides to write up a fictional resume and ends up getting a job as an executive assistant at GAW, General Apparel West.
Can't tell you how many times I watched this fucking movie. Like GAW just hit real
Right?
hard.
Yeah, you're like, I got it.
So at this point, Sue Ellen becomes a working mom, basically, who has to put up with scheming coworkers and her boss's boyfriend, who's a handsy creep. And she starts stealing petty cash from work, intending to replace it when she gets paid. In the meantime, her siblings find the petty cash in her purse and spend it without her knowledge. And they got a new home entertainment system.
Yeah,
and
the siblings were assholes.
Yeah. Yeah, she would have been better off getting them all in an orphanage. I mean, she was old enough. I think they would have been
Go ahead.
just like, you can do your own thing. But so if all that isn't enough, GAW is on the verge of going out of business because the dental hygienist and nursing uniforms that they produce aren't selling. So Sue Ellen does what any of us would do in that situation, whether we were 17 or 77. She completely redesigns GAW's new line and holds a fashion show at her house where her friends model uniforms for medical professionals that make them look like they work for the Joker. I mean, this shit they brought out, like if I went to the dentist and someone came out dressed like that, I'd be like, I gotta go.
Yeah,
you cannot,
this is not right.
you
Yeah.
cannot touch my mouth. And so, as you've certainly guessed by now, Sue Ellen's mom comes home during the fashion show, forcing Sue Ellen to admit in front of everyone that she's still a teenager, and for some reason her boss at GAW isn't upset and offers her a job anyway. But Sue Ellen declines because she wants to go to college. Two things stick out for me from this movie is Sue Ellen just keeps saying, I'm right on top of that rose, which her boss basically says, just whenever I ask you to do anything, just say I'm right on top of that rose, just as a reassuring thing. And then there's a scene in the movie where drag queens dressed as Liza Minnelli, Dolly Parton, and Marilyn Monroe steal the dead babysitter's car from the parking lot of a strip mall while Sue Ellen and her siblings are out for pizza. And I just feel like people in full drag committing Grand Theft Auto is an underrepresented trope in modern cinema.
It really is.
Yeah.
We don't see that enough.
We don't.
You're right.
It should be in more stuff. It should have been in Terminator 2.
It really should have.
should have been
We
in
needed
Teenage
drag
Mutant
queens
Ninja
in Terminator 2. Also, Josh Charles was in that.
Yes.
A young Josh Charles was the boyfriend of Sue Ellen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when she gets her first paycheck and she's in the car with her brothers and sisters and she's like, what? They took out half my money for taxes. Taxes. And I was like, oh my God, this is what we have to deal with as an adult.
Oh no.
Also, I kept thinking of what my dad would say, which is when you have to pay taxes, you'll become a Republican. And even at 14, I was like, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's going to...
What a gross threat.
Yeah, exactly, right? It was a threat.
Also statistically untrue.
It's statistically untrue.
Because
Democrats pay taxes.
Right, and also
Not Hunter Biden.
yeah, let's talk about the laptop.
That laptop with a bootleg version of Drop Dead Gorgeous that everyone wants.
Yeah.
Excellent movie.
Yeah.
Great,
Terrific.
great addition. Well, for my next one, remember how much I was obsessed with the Soviet Union and the Russians? Well, this was the year that the Soviet Union dissolved.
Oh.
The big, big enemy that I was fascinated by.
How did you feel about that? Were you sad?
It's like, oh my God, we don't have nuclear war anymore. No, immediately there was no. I remember very clearly though, like reading the Des Moines Register when they had the coup, and then when this, like it seared itself in my mind. It dissolved by the end of the year with 14 new countries existing. Christmas Day of '91 was the last day when Gorbachev resigned and Yeltsin took over.
On Christmas?
On
They made people come
Christmas.
into work on Christmas
On
for that shit?
Christmas.
Yeah, that's not right.
And before that, in November, the KGB just decided we're done and ended operations. And then before that, so this was a long process because then in August of this year, before the USSR dissolved, Gorbachev was in Crimea on holidays, and he was placed under house arrest because his vice president led an attempted coup, which only lasted 72 hours.
Oh.
So he didn't do the coup very well.
He was not committed to that
He was
coup.
not committed to the coup. And Gorbachev was like, listen, asshole, I have survived these. I survived the fucking Berlin Wall falling down.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on my terms, bitch.
Yeah.
And that means resigning.
Yeah.
I hope he said that and then stormed out of the room.
In Russian, of course. But yeah. So yeah, it's during that year also multiple republics like Lithuania and Latvia, they declared independence, and the U.S. recognized them and reopened embassies, and boom, it was done. Oh. And then and so then we had the USSR no more as the enemy in all of our 80s movies. Nope. And we had to move on to China.
Billy Joel had to stop singing that song back in the USSR.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this doesn't make sense anymore, Billy
Doesn't
Joel.
make sense.
Sing Uptown Girl, dumbass.
We came for Piano Man.
Yeah.
It's funny when we've mentioned this before, but when we do research for episodes, there's certain things I avoid because I know, and this was one. I was like, Amy's got Sylvia Union covered. I know it. I don't ever really pick movies because you guys know way more than I ever will about a movie. And and anything USSR goes to Amy.
I'm so glad I own the Soviet Union.
You do. Yeah. You earned it when you were 10 with your existential dread
That's
about
right.
USSR.
But even though I was afraid of them, I was also fascinated by them.
Yeah.
So that like later when I, got my master's in literature, I did it on Russian literature. Anyway.
I love it.
What's your last one?
Oh, gosh. Well, gonna hit you with this gem.
With your best shot?
With my best shot. This, in 1991, Kentucky Fried Chicken changed its name to KFC.
I saved this one for you.
Did you? I appreciate that.
I was like, she's definitely doing this.
It was such an interesting story because do you guys have any memory of why they said they changed their name?
I think they were trying to, the word fried, it was like a health thing. They didn't want the word fried to be out there.
Yes. Did anyone know the rumor of why they actually were changing their name?
Is it because the meat wasn't really chicken?
Right. Yeah. They said that they were basically this whole conspiracy thing started that they were cloning chickens that had larger than normal breasts and 6 to 8 legs, which is an interesting range.
I remember someone saying there was like a lab somewhere. The chickens didn't have heads.
Yes.
They were all like hooked up to something and they were just being pumped full of hormones or whatever to make these sort of genetic things that probably turned into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies.
Probably did.
You're right, because the FDA in the rumor the FDA stepped in and said you can't use the word chicken, so they thought, if we just shorten it to KFC. That was the rumor. KFC publicly said, as he mentioned, that no, the reason is we're trying to go for a healthier and like emphasizing the fried is a whole thing. Neither of those were true. The actual truth was that the Commonwealth of Kentucky was broke.
Oh.
And they decided that a way to get their money back was to patent or trademark the name Kentucky.
Oh my God.
So they came at KFC hard and said, you owe us money for using the name Kentucky. And KFC was like, we've been using it for 4 decades. We're good. Like, we're not going to engage in this with you. But Commonwealth of Kentucky didn't back down. And finally, KFC just said, fine, we're changing the name to KFC. It's not Kentucky anymore. We're not paying you anything. And this was all behind the scenes. And I'm assuming that their PR department was like, this is going to look bad. So we're just going to say that we're changing it for health, which wasn't better.
No, they didn't change the menu.
No, they didn't change the way the chicken was made. So
Right.
the healthier thing was kind of weird. But they ended up going after a lot of things at this time that I didn't realize. Like the name of the most famous horse race in North America, held every year at Churchill Downs, was changed from the Kentucky Derby to the Run for the Roses for the same reason, because they were asking for royalty from Kentucky Derby. Many seed and nursery outfits that had previously offered Kentucky Bluegrass switched it to a product known as Shenandoah Bluegrass instead to get the name Kentucky out. Neil Diamond's song Kentucky Woman was dropped from radio playlists at his request because the licensing fees they were asking for were higher than what he was making from the playtime.
Oh my God.
So he said just take it out of rotation.
Jesus Christ.
What's interesting is that then in 2006, KFC and the state of Kentucky did come to an undisclosed settlement. and basically said that they could use Kentucky Fried Chicken again. So supposedly in 2006, they sort of changed it back, but I have no memory of it ever really changed. I mean, it became KFC.
So Kentucky was asking for all this money from all these different places. Did they ever get money from anybody? Did this gamble pay off?
I don't think so. I think
Oh
people
my
just
God.
started working around it and like, okay, we won't call it Kentucky then, because it seems so absurd
Yeah.
that this was, a thing that you could.
They banked
patent.
that their name held more value than it did.
Yeah.
No one cares about Kentucky that much.
No, and I think they thought that they were going to have KFC over a barrel and they were going to pay up, and KFC was like, not a chance.
But I also feel like the word Kentucky is sort of like it should be in the public domain. It's the
right?
name of the
Yeah.
state. It's not
Yeah.
it's not like they're trading on the great image of Kentucky to sell a
Just
product.
saying,
Yeah, you're not going to
Yeah.
KFC because it has Kentucky in the
Right.
name. Like it's
Also,
odd-
it's the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
yeah,
So it's not just a state; it's a Commonwealth.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they fancy
They fancy or they
selling their.
they're
Yeah.
too big for the britches.
I didn't have a lot. I mean, I remember that it was called Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then at some point it switched to KFC. I didn't really have a great memory of it, other than I ate a lot of Chicken Littles when I was younger.
What are Chicken Littles?
They were like a smaller version of a chicken sandwich, like on almost like a slider bun, and I adored them.
Well,
So
I mean,
I had a Chicken Little
your
wash
taste
down
for foods
TMT.
maybe a little suspect, but you
Oh,
know,
very big suspect. No nutritional value.
She was an
in any of
adventurous
that.
eater.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Yep.
We're going on an adventure with
I
her.
was risking my health at every turn. Chicken Littles and
Yeah.
Ninja Turtle pies.
And then when they changed to KFC, you're like, no, I want my Kentucky.
Fried chicken. Don't be trying to pretend that this
Yeah.
isn't fried, because we all know it is. 'Cause
So I want a version. We have marketing meetings all the time. I want a version of the state government or council meeting or whatever that decided this is the way to go. We are going to get our money this way.
it definitely involves Norman. He showed up. He showed up disheveled as all
Sure,
get out,
sure,
which
sure.
isn't unusual for Norman.
Okay, yeah.
But he busts into the room and he's like, listen. And they're all like, no, we don't want to hear about your bender. And he's like, no, this one came together with the best idea. You know how we're called Kentucky? And they're all like, yeah, the state? Yeah, that's.
No
where
shit,
we-
Norman.
Yeah, we got it, Norman. And he's like, no, that's cash money. We can charge people for using the name.
You're leaving cash on the table.
And they were like who? And he's like, we're going after the biggest one, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they were like, you just might be dumb enough to be smart, Norman. We're doing that.
Man.
It reminds me of performers who are no longer alive, like Jimi Hendrix and Marvin Gaye and Whitney Houston. Like they have teams of lawyers that their family and their estate employ, that what they do is they just sue other people that have songs that kind of sound like a Marvin Gaye song or a
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix thing. And that's what they do, is that's their source of income.
Yeah.
Is there's someone who just watches all this stuff. And it feels like Norman heard about that. And Norman was like, you guys, we can do the same thing with Kentucky.
We can do it. We
Yeah.
can do it.
We'll go after the seed companies. We'll go after the horse thing. We'll go after Neil Diamond.
Yeah. I also,
horses and seeds. We got it.
we nailed it. Oh, KFC doing the most.
What about you, Heath?
I have an important event in our nation's history to
Oh,
discuss.
fantastic.
Whitney Houston sang the national anthem at Super
I knew
Bowl
Heath was gonna do
25
this one.
on January 27th, 1991 in Tampa, Florida.
In Tampa?
Yeah. This was maybe the first and last good thing that's ever happened in Tampa.
Yeah.
For sure.
Also, it is when America peaked, and we've been on a slow decline ever since.
That's fair.
We really did. We peaked.
We did it in Tampa. Oof.
That was a sign
Yeah.
of things to come
Yeah.
right there.
That's
yeah.
a tough lesson to
Yep.
take in.
Yeah.
We peaked in Tampa. Yeah.
Like, look at yourself in the mirror and say that out loud.
Yeah.
See how that goes. So it was just 10 days into the Persian Gulf War, and Whitney Houston performed the song backed by the Florida Orchestra in front of a crowd of
that's a thing?
73,813 football fans. Yeah, fuck you, Florida, by the way, and everything about you.
Yeah.
And a TV audience that included 115 million viewers in the United States. and 750 million viewers nationwide, which surprised me because I did not think that the rest of the world cared that much about our national anthem or football.
Yeah.
I know they're more into the football,
Yeah.
as they say.
Yeah.
The soccer. A little known fact, Whitney Houston was singing live that day in Tampa, but she was singing into a dead microphone. What we heard on TV was the pre-recorded version of the anthem. They decided to use that because they didn't want to pick up the crowd noise and the jets flying overhead and all that stuff. Which was kind of a controversy because people acted like she was lip singing. I was like, well, no, it's her singing. Like in that environment, it's you're asking a lot for the AV guys to make that work.
Yeah.
And as they should, people lost their shit over this version of the song. Her record label released the performance as a charity single with all profits going to a charity that supported the war effort. The record label had apparently been inundated with calls from radio and TV stations all over the country requesting a professional copy of the song because stations had been playing versions they'd recorded with VCRs in their own homes.
Whoa.
Like people were bringing that into radio, like DJs were like bringing that in.
This is the pre-internet world, everyone.
Wow.
That's what we were reduced to.
Analog AF. When the single was eventually released, it raised $531,650, which was donated to the American Red Cross Gulf Crisis Fund, an organization that provided aid to U.S. military personnel, their families, and war victims in the Persian Gulf region. Whitney Houston's version of the national anthem was such a huge hit that it was even included on her Greatest Hits album that was released in May of 2000. After the 9/11 terrorist attacks, it was released as a charity single again to raise money for the New York firefighters' 9/11 Disaster Relief Fund and the New York Fraternal Order of the Police. Pop culture observers have also suggested that Ms. Houston dedicated the post-9/11 release of her version of the national anthem to anyone whose birthday was ruined by 9/11. That I made up. I made that up.
No, you didn't. That's fact.
That's
exact
fact. You carry
fact.
that. You get that.
You get it.
She can't deny it.
Yeah.
Have we ever mentioned on this show
I was just
that
thinking
poor
that.
Heath has the birthday 9/11?
9/11.
When you were talking about a couple weeks ago on the summer show, when you were like, my birthday's in the summer and it sucks and all that stuff.
That's true.
That's a game I like to play with people sometimes. They're like, my birthday's in the winter and I hate it. I was going to be like, oh, do you want to play the birthday game?
Here we go. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Oh, no.
But you kindly let me go on and on about how it was tough. You didn't. Oh man, you could have pulled that card easily.
Yeah.
Well, it would not have changed how you felt about your birthday as a kid.
It would have shamed me though.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
that's
like
what
to shame
needed.
people. I don't like to shame you.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Sweet.
That was also in my wedding vows, by the way.
Those are true vows. True love vows.
Yeah, really.
Well, for my last one, I have a quiz for us.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was looking up weird news, as I often do, and I found this very short but kind of hilarious quiz about weird news in 1991. And we are supposed to say, it gives us a fact, and we're supposed to say if it's true or false.
Oh, okay.
boy.
Okay? And then it gives us what actually happened. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 20 paintings were stolen from the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and sadly, they have never been recovered. The Potato Eaters was among the pilfered paintings. True or false?
Is this that story you talked about where they tied up the two guards?
It sounds kind of like it.
It does, but I don't think they got away with 20 paintings. That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
Uh-huh. If they said the number, if you would have said the number was 23, I'd say yes, because that's a random number. But since it's 20, I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
I think this is
I'm
false.
with Heath on this one. No.
False.
Woo! We're
Luckily,
so good at
get this. Luckily, the thieves got a flat tire on their getaway car, and all of the paintings were recovered half an hour later. It was said to be an inside job.
Oh.
Well, obviously. I mean, it's always an inside job, even if it's not,
But man, flat tire on your getaway car?
Uh-huh.
Ryan Gosling wouldn't let that happen and drive.
Nope.
Also, Norman was in charge of
Norman was
airing
in
up
charge.
the tires.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
God damn it, Norman. Get your
Yeah.
shit together.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
All right, next one. French volcanologist, volcanologist,
Okay.
Maurice Kraft stated, I am never afraid because I have seen so many eruptions in 23 years that even if I die tomorrow, I don't care. He and his wife died during a volcanic eruption the very next day. True or false?
I think that's true.
Yeah, that's 1,000% true. You can't get that kind of hubris around a
It's
volcano.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Kraft and his wife were filming on Mount Unzen in Japan when they were caught in a lava flow. They were killed along with 41 others, which was chronicled in the film Into the Inferno. But yeah, the hubris.
Yeah.
The
You
hubris.
can't just be standing somewhere the day before you're going to go to a volcano.
I'm not
and be
afraid.
Like, bring it, bitch. Because a volcano will.
Yeah.
Volcano will be like, oh, I hear you.
It's already been brought in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
All right, 2 more.
Yeah.
All right. Marshall Ledbetter blockaded himself in the Florida State Capitol building where he demanded pizza, beer, 666 donuts, and $100 worth of Chinese food. He also demanded to speak to Weird Al Yankovic. True or false?
That feels true.
That's got to be true. There's too many details there.
This feels like the first.
And it's also
Insurrection.
like a Tuesday in Florida.
It's actually false only because he actually wanted to speak to Timothy Leary, Jello Biafra, Ice Cube, and Lemmy Kilmister.
So the rest of it was true? Just the Weird
rest
Al
of it
part was not true?
Just who
Okay.
he wanted to talk with.
Oh.
None of his demands were met, and the standoff ended peacefully.
This doesn't feel peaceful. I'm not at peace.
I tell you what, Florida's reckless. They're just like, no. We might have done the pizza, but the 666 donuts,
no.
clearly you're the Antichrist.
Maybe it was the $100 worth of Chinese food. that
They were
pushed
just
it
like,
over the edge.
I don't want to pick what you're getting for Chinese food. Just tell me.
Yeah,
It's going to be wrong.
that's so true.
Yeah.
Because you can never pick someone else's Chinese food.
I know.
All right. This is the last one. A Pennsylvania man bought a painting at a flea market for $4 because he liked the frame. When he got home, he realized there was a first printing of the Declaration of Independence inside the frame.
That's true.
Erin started shaking her head before you even done
Okay,
reading that, so
okay.
I have to go through.
That is true. And the document sold at auction for $2.4 million. The painting was thrown away, as was the frame, which was deemed unsalvageable.
He didn't keep the frame? Oh, that's
Which
too
is why he
bad.
bought it in the first place.
Yeah, I guess he got 2 point whatever million. You can buy your own a new frame.
Very true.
I
Yeah.
love that as like a to think back to the person that put it in the frame. Like, we'll just hide it behind this really stupid picture, and then no one will ever think there's something valuable there. And then they forgot to
And
write
then
that
Norman-
down or tell anyone.
Norman was like, I like that frame.
Yeah.
And
I'll
then,
buy that.
yeah. The results are Weird News Whizzes.
Oh.
Whiz.
Whiz. That's
So,
amazing.
Well done,
Whiz.
you.
Taking a whiz. You know,
Taking a whiz.
we could find, based on that, I feel like we could find Carmen Sandiego.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
I found Carmen Sandiego all the time when I played the video game.
yeah. That's
And by video game, I mean computer game.
right. Yeah, that's what I meant too.
Yes.
I know I made it sound like it was coming out on Xbox.
Yeah, no, this
That's
was
not
floppy
the case.
disk.
No, this is
Floppy
Oregon Trail
disk
bullshit.
realness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Whoever makes the PlayStation, are we on PS6 now? I don't know what
Yeah,
it is. Just
who knows?
Yeah, I'll buy one if you put a Carmen Sandiego game out.
Oh my God.
1,000%.
Can we burn these pictures now?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm not going to keep either of these food item pictures.
No, you should just give them back to me. I don't
Here
even
you
want
go.
them in your home.
There you go. Thank
I
you.
was actually
Thank
worried
you.
that the KFC story was going to be too gross for Amy. I was like, oh, this feels
If that
like a
was
lot
too
of
gross,
chicken.
I wouldn't be able to survive in the world. If
That's right.
Yeah,
I know,
you
but I don't
yeah.
like to be like, here's some chicken that are cloned and
Let's
weird.
talk about chicken.
Yeah.
Think of how humiliated you would have been if the garbage men would have seen in your garbage, would have seen KFC paraphernalia and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pie stuff. They would have been like, she's
listen.
no vegan.
This house has been marked as vegan on my garbage route map.
Except, unfortunately, for all the cat food. So, that's a
Yeah.
bummer.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Really, I'm just offsetting. It's like a carbon offset sort of stitch.
that-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going vegan so that the cats can keep eating their gross factory farm food.
I fully understood and respected your deep, deep love of animals. I knew you were vegan for a long time, but when your last cat
Fiona.
was suffering at the end, Fiona, the original podcat, you were willing to feed her sardines / tuna, and you warmed them up,
Oh,
which because she appreciated that more, which
just hot fish, huh?
It
yeah.
was very disgusting. Extremely
that's
disgusting.
when I was like, okay, I see the hierarchy of what wins out here, and this is deep rooted because I could never picture that before, and here it was, and I was like, wow.
Listen, I watched that bad bitch in there eat some fucking placenta, so I can handle anything. Bring me your KFC. It's fine.
You don't have to eat KFC. I will not let you. I don't think it's actually chicken, but you don't have to eat it.
It might be placenta.
Oh.
Yeah, that was. I forgot to mention that part. That was something.
That's something that we can cut this because it's with probably a lot of TMI. But they ask you when you have a baby, do you want to keep your placenta? Like, because some people freeze it, or they
Like wedding cake?
Yeah, or they
And they just snack on it in the middle of the night.
Well, some people do like eat it, but some people bury it in certain places. Like it's supposed to be really nutrient dense. I know. There's also a program that I think you can pay like a monthly fee for, and they store part of it because it has so much like rich DNA stuff in it that if your child would ever get cancer or whatever, they can use a lot of that to help combat it.
So you're paying a monthly fee just for the off chance.
This is going to make me sound like a really bad parent, but I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, we're
I'm not
good.
paying a storage fee.
You got to pay for a lot of shit when you're a parent.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't even know. That doesn't totally sound like science. I'm in labor while you're talking to me about this too. Like, I can't make a decision right now. I don't know what's happening.
That sounds like coercion.
It does.
And collusion.
Yeah. And collusion. A lot of that
Coerced
today.
and colluded.
You got me again, Winona Ryder.
Can we get a stamp that says that? Coerced and colluded.
Fuzzy Memories is a Broads and Books production. It's hosted by Heath Smith, Aaron Johnston, and Amy Lee Lillard. The show is produced by Amy Lee Lillard. Follow us at Fuzzy Memories Pod on Instagram for clips and highlights. And follow us at Broads and Books Productions for updates on new shows coming your way. See you next time.
That was right on.
Did you see this week or yesterday, I don't know if you follow that account, but Jeffrey Mixed posted well, you know what, Dad? Peter's gay. Gay!
No, I need to follow that account, though. Peter's gay.
So I posted it and tagged him, and at the same time, he posted it, and we crisscrossed each other.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.